Hello and welcome to Getting Started with dbDOS 1.1. This is step 2, installing and configuring dbDOS. When you first get your setup.exe, you put it in a location that you can remember, double click on it, and this is going to kick off the installer. Now on the later operating systems from Microsoft, they have something called user access control, and this just verifies that you know that you're installing something on your machine. So go ahead and click the yes button. Once the installation starts a few seconds later, it's just going to tell you, hey, you're installing dbDOS 1.1 and you want to continue. After that, it'll show you the license agreement for dbDOS. Please read through it and then go ahead and say, I accept the terms of the license agreement, and click the next button. Next, you'll be asked to put in your key. Usually this is supplied through an email. Put in your serial key and then hit next to continue. You'll see a review of where it's going to install on your system and how much space it's going to take, and then all of a sudden it's going to start installing. Once that install is complete, you'll see that it ends and it's going to say, hey, do you want to run the configuration program? And that's an option already selected for you. When you hit the finish button, it's going to kick off the actual configuration program. If you don't want to run the configuration program at that time, just simply uncheck that option and continue on by hitting the finish button. After you've installed it, you'll notice that in your startup programs, you have something called dbDOS, and you'll have dbDOS config, the FAQ, the quick start guide, all the videos and everything like that already installed on your machine. So now you're ready to actually run the configuration program. Now, we've made massive changes from 1.0 to 1.1 in the configuration program. The first thing we allow you to do now is to create new configurations. You can import or share configurations, and you can also go ahead and exit out of here. This interface allows you to see which configurations you've already created, and you can edit them or change their options at any time. Once you say new configuration, you're going to basically be given an option to name your configuration in the wizard and give it a description. Now again, you need to have the name. The description is optional. If you're ready to go forward with the wizard, you can go ahead and click the next button. Now at any time, if you want to go into the advanced wizard or the advanced screen, you can click the advanced button at any time and that will take you to that portion of the product. If you want to use the wizard, you can just continue with the next button. This will ask you what type of application you want to create. Do you want to create an executable, a BAT, or a COM file? This means you're going to point to a file of that type. So in other words, you're going to go to an .exe, a .com, or a .bat. Or you can also load up a configuration that takes you to a DOS prompt, and then you can run all the DOS commands just like you would, and you can call whatever program you'd want to call at that particular moment in time. After that, you can select an application, so you go out there and you pick an application like dbase.exe. You can add some launch parameters in there if you want it to automatically execute a program or something like that. When you're satisfied with that, you hit the next key. You then basically pick the regional settings. dbDOS is fairly regional and allows you to pick whichever region you're from and then which keyboard layout that you want to use from that standpoint so that your code pages are set up properly. After that, we have printer options to allow you to customize your print functionality to get the most out of dbDOS and the DOS programs that you're using. After that, we actually added additional mount paths. And additional mount paths basically allow you to add additional locations on your machine or on a network drive so that you can get the data and programs easily and simply. When you're ready to move on, you go ahead and hit the next program. We've also made it so that you can, depending on your hardware, you can display your application in various ways using different hardware approaches. What I would recommend is OpenGL because it's very fast and it allows for the most capabilities across the board. But some people have experience with hardware and they have different hardware configurations where they may need to go down a little bit in their approach so that they have the best compatibility, and we give those options to you. And finally, we give you a list of options that you can pick to add on to your configuration, such things as like exit after you've left the program or open up a status window, put it onto a desktop shortcut or a start menu shortcut. So we've added those options. We've then added in the test configuration, which allows you then to test everything that you've set up, play with it. If you like it, you hit finished. If you don't, you go back to the spot where you want to change the settings, and go on. When you're finished, it'll go ahead and add a desktop icon on your desktop. That's how you use the wizard approach. Now, some people may want to use the advanced configuration approach, which is a single page configuration. It has all the exact same information on the single page as it did through the wizard, but it's all nice and convenient. Follows the same process. You put in your name and you put in your description. You come in and pick which type of application. Do you want to create an application or do you want to create a command prompt? If you want to do a command prompt, notice it changes the screen and it shows you that it's a command prompt, or you can have an application. It also sets up so that you can pick which region you're from, just like it was in the wizard case. And by the way, at any time, if you want, you can click the wizard and go to the wizard right on the place where you're at, or you can go back and forth between the wizard and the advanced configuration. After that, you basically do your printer settings. Pretty straightforward. Pick the printer settings that you want to get the best capabilities out of your application. Then, after that, you use your scroll bar and slide down the scroll bar so that you can see the rest of the screen. As you can see, we're on printer settings, but now we go into the additional mount paths, programs directory, and I also have a data directory just showing how to use it. And then down below, I have my display approach. And in this case, I'm going to use OpenGL. And again, notice that you can start it in full screen mode, which means that you don't see the Windows desktop, you just see the full screen mode. And then finally, you have all of the options that you can add on top of it. After that, you have the ability to test the configuration, or you can save the configuration. Once you've done that, you're basically done. It'll put a desktop on there, it'll show it inside of the environment, so you're ready to go. So that's getting started with dbDOS 1.1. Step 2 is now complete. Thanks a lot for listening. Have a great day. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.